Hey Z-Man fans, and welcome back to another review for The Walking Dead. We're talking Season 9, Episode 7, called Stradivarius. So this was a pretty solid episode overall, I'd say, which left just a bunch of burning questions really just overall. And I just want to kind of toss them out there and let's just talk about what do we know from what's going on here. So I wanted to point out real quick that this was directed by Michael Cudlitz, who played Abraham previously on the show. And so I thought this was a really cool episode, given it as a first-time director. I mean, he did everything very competently. Everything was just awesome. The way that he laid everything out with the different characters, and also that intro scene. Let's just talk about that just real quick with Rosita as she's kind of blacking in and out, and as she's making her way through the forest, she's got blood on her head, she's all beat up, so something definitely went down. Eugene is nowhere in sight, so that set off red flags in my mind all over. Where's Eugene? So we'll talk about that just briefly throughout the episode, but Rosita was in some serious trouble right there, and it kind of gave you that just those quick ins and outs and just really close-ups on her face just to show the intensity of the scene and what's going down, and that she's probably being followed. And so, again, that was pretty darn cool. Jesus is now running pretty much Hilltop. Maggie is nowhere to be found. Well, excuse me, I shouldn't say nowhere to be found. She is somewhere. She's with Georgie. She's far away. Remember, Georgie was the white-haired woman who offered her the book of the keys to success and how they're going to build and make the future. So she's really far away. She sent a letter, actually, to them to say that she's fine and well and everything's going good. But Jesus is running Hilltop, but not totally because he wants to. I think he still has this wanting that, or knowing that Maggie's will hopefully one day come back. But everybody else, including Tara, is just like, she's probably not coming back. So you need to get on board and just handle things. So Jesus has been making trips out into the wild often, and we see a trip of him going out there, and somebody tackles him off his horse like a damn jungle cat, and it ended up being Aaron, which was pretty cool because obviously we knew they were just play fighting and whatnot, or just training, but it seems Jesus has been trying to get his Aaron's skills up, at least with fighting, especially since he lost his arm. So it was kind of cool just seeing him just kind of battle a little bit, and then as they were talking things out, I'm just throwing it out there. Did it kind of seem like maybe there could be something going on there? I mean, I know we all know that Aaron is gay, but we never really know about Jesus, and he's never really made any other attempts towards any other females. I don't know, just the way they're talking, the secret rendezvous, just training, it just seems a little weird. But that's basically because Aaron is with Michonne's group, and obviously you have Jesus with Hilltop, and so there's a disconnect there, which brings me to my next burning thing is what happened between Michonne and Maggie. So there's definitely some bad blood there. Michonne has made it very clear throughout the entire episode she wants nothing to do really with going to Hilltop physically because she thinks Maggie's going to be there. Now again, as we continue through this, there's all those kinds of spoilers, guys, so if you haven't seen this episode yet, you better stop now and go watch it, and then let's come back and we'll talk about it a little bit. But so here's your chance. But as we move through, so we find out, Michonne finds out later in the episode that Maggie is not even there. This is her first hearing of it. Sadiq ends up letting it slip out that basically she's no longer there, and so Michonne is not too happy about this, especially as Sadiq was keeping a secret from her. But he says that he promised someone. I didn't quite figure out who that would be, but he promised somebody and he wouldn't tell, and so he didn't. But now it's finally out. She knows, and we'll get more into that later. So, along in this episode, Carol, of course, she finds Daryl. So Carol and Henry are traveling, and they find Daryl while they're out in the wild and whatnot. So they end up going back to Daryl's camp, which was pretty cool, by the way. I just want to throw out there. He had all his little traps set up. I mean, this is just showing Daryl at his best in the elements, right? And so he even has a new dog companion, which he just calls Dog. I think that's pretty cool. What's up, dog? So that's kind of neat. He has a little companion going on there, and he has just a small little camp set up and whatnot. And so Carol, of course, always has an agenda. She is hoping that, she reveals that Daryl will go to Hilltop with Henry and just basically kind of keep an eye on him. Because, let's face it, Henry, as I think about this a little bit more, I know he annoys a lot of people, including, I said, he annoys me too, but he is a kid, right? He's a young man, and they're ambitious. They want to learn. They want to help out. They want to be part of something. They don't just want to sit in the background and stay. And that's the problem. As you grow older, you grow wiser, and you realize maybe I don't have to do this or do that or join in with this. But as a young one, they just want to get in. They want to get after it. So I kind of understand his ambitions and why he's doing what he's doing. So Carol is very smart to go to Daryl to ask for help, but Daryl doesn't really want anything to do with it. And we finally find out that. And he kind of reveals, he says, do you think I'm still out here looking for him? And him, meaning Rick, he thinks that he knows they never found the body, ever, in all those years. and either as a walker or anything else. And so he is out there still searching for him. So it really sees that Michonne and Daryl has been hit the hardest with Rick's loss, and that they really have not moved on, affecting them both in different ways, but either way. So Daryl's out there searching, and of course, and over time, he just enjoyed the solitude and being out there by himself. So it makes sense. So he says that he doesn't really want to. So there's kind of a scene where I guess Henry and him are out there. Well, Henry follows him out into the wild a little bit, and they end up having an event together, which was kind of cool. A nice little setup. Of course, the dog was almost in trouble. I mean, I don't know if I'd sacrifice myself for a dog, but I guess when you're out there alone and it becomes your new best friend, I guess you got to do what you got to do. So they make it through that, and there's a little bit of bonding there between Henry and Daryl, and Henry kind of saying that, it's not just about you coming to look over my back. It's bigger than just me or you. It's my mom too, and that Carol worries about Daryl a lot, which kind of makes me wonder, sometimes, like, I know Carol's with Ezekiel and they have their life and stuff, but man, there's that scene where she was cutting his hair, and I don't know, she just kind of kept brushing it away or whatever. I mean, there's definitely, I want to say, feelings there between those two. So I hope that doesn't cause some bad blood later down the line, because it is a perfect setup, it looks like to me, of what could come. But let's hope that Carol and Ezekiel keep their union together, and along with Henry. So by the end of it, Daryl has basically offered to, well, he didn't offer, he kind of nonchalantly just says, yeah, I'll be ready to go in just a little bit the next morning. So they're going to follow them to Hilltop. So as they continue moving through, now there was a scene there I want to point out here. So Daryl was changing his shirt or taking it off at one point during those scenes, and he had the same damn scars on his back, or very similar to Michonne's. Remember, Michonne's, I believe, was in the lower left of her back as the camera was looking at her. Well, so was Daryl's. Daryl had another X scar down there, along with some other ones up near his middle spine and upper back and stuff. So I had read somewhere that maybe someone thought that someone tried a kidney removal or so forth. I'm not sure what, but definitely something went down, and it's bugging the hell out of me because I just cannot figure it out. We were trying to come up with all different ideas, and so if you have any other ideas, please let us know in the comments. I'd be curious to know what you think. Well, let's talk about the new crew, right? So we have Connie and Kelly. So we have the two sisters, right, the deaf ones, and then you have Luke with his Stradivarius violin that gets busted earlier on, and then we have Magda. And I think it's Yumiko. I don't want to mispronounce that, but I think it's Yumiko's the other one. So as they're making their travels with Michonne, they're trying to do a little bonding there. They end up making it to their settlement, or it's not even a settlement. It was just like a little like a container rig or whatever. And I guess they were looking for one of their other members that they had with them. I think it was Bernie, or God, I'm gonna get that name so wrong, but either way, they get there and the whole place is turned topsy-turvy. Everything's out and about. A huge walker raid must have nailed this thing solid, and it even seems the container flipped over on its side. I'm trying to figure out how a bunch of walkers would have managed to tip a container over, especially from lower leverage, but all the same, something of super force managed to push this thing over. And the team member that they're looking for, which we find out is a lover of Magda, is not there. And so she starts getting really upset, and they're just gathering a few things, and Yumiko says you should grab something of his to remember him. She's like, why? And anyways, they have at it. So they find shelter for the night, and in the middle of the night, Luke is up messing around, and Michonne hears something going down. She ends up finding him, tells him to turn around because she thinks he's stealing weapons or this or that. Turns around, she slices the shit out of his Stradivarius violin, which, for those who don't know, it is a very, very expensive and unique antique violin, a violin setter out there. And so he was collecting some of these instruments, and taking them with him. He made points about how this is how our past and how we came to be, and so from the cavemen and them coming around and doing songs and so forth. It was kind of interesting. There was a little lore there, I guess, to our history and where we come from, but you kind of start to see his point of view. And so anyways, she destroyed it. Michonne wanted to say sorry, but didn't quite get it out. And but what I wanted to point out with this is, as these guys group back together and they start making their way back to Hilltop the next morning, a bunch of walkers make it to their area. And so they all start fighting and getting after it. And luckily, there's another guy with them, DJ, who opened the bag and let them get their weapons finally. Michonne said, or they basically just said, get your weapons. So they get their weapons, they start fighting, and Michonne finally notices, as all these walkers are heading towards their horse carriage area and they start trying to defend them, Michonne sees one of the guys, and she notices that it's the team member of theirs because of the shirt that he was wearing. They made a call out. I think Yumiko made a call out to this shirt about how it annoyed the hell out of Magda, but it ended up growing up on her, and so did he. So they see the guy, his intestines are all ripped out, his neck is all ripped out. This poor guy got it bad. And so you see Magna just start tearing up bad. She definitely loved this guy big time. And you can definitely see why she's been in such a mood as of late. And so Michonne goes behind him and just slowly just kind of takes him out with her sword. It was very, very nice the way she did it, not to just totally wipe him out in front of her. So that was a little bit of care from Michonne's part. So they get themselves grouped back up together, and as they're making their way, a couple people from Hilltop, men on horses with spears, Michonne could tell that that's where they're from. They have a quick conversation, and they're basically talking about how they found Rosita out in the wild, and Eugene was not with her, and so she's kind of banged up, and they're taking care of her. So just before they're about to head off, this is the next thing I want to talk about. Connie is staring out into the woods just to the left of them, and she knows she saw something. She doesn't know what, but it's like there and gone within a blink of an eye. And it's what they say. When you lose certain senses, your other senses are super heightened. And I bet her vision is like a hawk. She probably notices everything, but she couldn't make it out. And could have been one of the whispers. I highly suggest yes, it was. And they were definitely being watched. You can see from the camera angles. I mean, something was out there. Something's paying attention to these guys. So some bad things to come for our friends in both Alexandria and Hilltop, and we'll have to see how this all goes down. I want to say that this episode overall, I want to give it a solid score because it left me kind of wanting more because of just the questions in general. So I'm going to give this a 7.2 out of 10. It was just a solid, good episode. Just bringing back some certain people and seeing where everybody's at Hilltop and how they're all trying and come back together. But it seems that Michonne, it's going to take a lot to kind of bring her back into the fold to group back up with Hilltop. It seems that's where the disconnect is. Whatever Michonne and Maggie ran into at one point, that's the breakdown. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick episode and was talking about what went down tonight. We have a few more episodes left, I think, until the mid-season finale. And other than that, I think we're going to have some other movie reviews and other things coming up. It's the holiday season. I hope to get maybe some updates for some Christmas movies that are out there. I'm more old school, so maybe we'll take a look at some of those. Don't forget our Dead Nightmare episode 6 was just released about 3 weeks ago, so go check it out if you like more zombie stuff. And it's totally amateur work, but it was our production, and it's super low budget, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So have a chance, make sure to check the links below and enjoy it. And until the next episode, I will see you then.